projects going on at one time right now. Like the wife's just feeding me lists and lists, and I'm like, all right, yeah, I could do that. I got 2 acres. So like after all that rain, all the weeds went nuts. So I've been out in the yard in the morning trying to get my workout in. So it is very distracting. So honestly, I don't have a game plan, which I probably should, because we got 30 more days of this at minimum of this lockdown. And then personally, I don't think it's going to really change much after that, because I think people will still be staying in. So I think it's important to do it. I just need to get it done.
Let us help in any way that we can. You brought up something, and I don't know if you guys have seen the meme. It had something to do with like all those things I said I was going to do if only I had the time. Mm-hmm. That was bullshit. You know, it's just kind of like, yeah, now we've got nothing but time, and it's like, we'll tackle that project later. So I'm glad you're at least staying productive. A thing that I have learned over the last 2 weeks, if I don't start off my morning productive, if I don't start early, the rest of my day is shot. Mm-hmm. Like if I get started at like 10 o'clock and I don't have a good early start to the morning, I'm not getting a lot done. It's just I'm already kind of on that downward trajectory. So for me, it's been crucial that I wake up early, I get some kind of productivity done, I get breakfast in me, get my coffee, go for a run, check emails, something like that. Keiko, what about you? How are you kind of getting into a good rhythm and sticking to a routine?
Sure. My schedule hasn't been changed much. I still do a role play call every morning at 8. And that gets me going, because I have to get up and be ready to do the script. So it's only 10-15 minutes, but that knowing that I have to be in front of my computer at 8 gets me going.
Who are you doing your roll calls with?
She was a former KW agent from Carlsbad. She's with Home Smart now, but we did the bold together 3 years ago. But since then, we're still doing the role play every morning.
I love that. So 3 years you guys have been doing this?
Yes.
That's amazing. That's killer.
Sometimes, we cancel. We have like doctor's appointment, but every day at 8 from Monday through Friday.
We call them in bold. My sister coined the term, because you used to have the accountability buddy, and so we just kind of shortened it. We call them accountability buddies. Mm-hmm. And so accountability buddies, yeah. So me and Robin, we are acting as each other's accountability buddies when it comes to staying active.
Yes.
And so every day at 7 o'clock, I've got a reminder to text her like, "Hey, did you exercise today?" And then we're sending each other pictures of what we're.
Yeah, little things works, I think. Yeah.
So if you don't have an accountability buddy, pair off. Or and Mark, you guys, it looks like you might be splitting a bottle of wine. You guys make good accountability buddies.
We'll split a bottle of wine, buddy.
Yeah, bud. Rachel and Christina, I'd love to hear from you guys. You guys have very different roles, where I think structure and routine is probably crucial to what you're doing. How are you guys sticking to a schedule and kind of building in good routine?
I would definitely be more motivated if I had Orr's dog. That thing was the biggest, fattest thing I've ever seen. I'm kind of in the same boat as Mark as far as like trying to make sure my kids are good for the day and have their systems down so that I could do what I need to do. But the majority of my day is mainly keeping in contact with clients, and as you can imagine, all of our systems are changing. So just kind of doing a lot of research on that and just trying to see what the new normal is.
Yeah. Rachel, what about you?
I'm having a hard time with the routine. I'll be honest. My sleeping hours have totally changed. I'm up later. I'm waking up later, which is really bad. But I do try to get in front of my computer by 8:30, 9 o'clock. Like last night, I was doing disclosures till 9 o'clock at night. Which obviously is not required, but I don't like feeling like I'm sitting there tagging 300 pages in the day when agents need something else that's more important, like right now. So I'm doing that kind of tedious stuff later in the evening and just focusing on like urgent stuff that comes up. But yeah, I'm having a really hard time getting into some sort of routine at home.
Yeah. I think we all are. You're not alone with that. And Keiko hit on something that's really, I think, important. you have to start your morning the right way. You have to have that definitive, clock in time and that clock in activity that's going to allow you to say, all right, now it's time to get to work. Just starting with that first thing that you have to do in the morning, whether it's, workout at 6 a.m., check emails at 8, role play at 8 o'clock, whatever it is, incorporate that, stick to it, have somebody hold you accountable to that one thing. And then from there, build on that. Don't try to, it took me, and I'm still tightening up a calendar for what a day-to-day and a week looks like. It's taking a long time to tighten that up and make sure that I'm as productive as I can be. And yet every day it starts with one activity. If I've got that one activity and I know when I've got to start it and then I've got to do it, everything else, it falls into place a little bit easier. Does that make sense? Thomas Jacobs, welcome to have you, sir. Or what about you, bud? Do you have any tips or anything that you're using to stick to a routine and a schedule?
Well, I already made a schedule. So it's kind of like I get up at 7:30. I try to get to bed by midnight, and then I get waking up with my boys and girls at 7:30, regardless of what it is. So there's no choice for that one. So, but it just there's certain routines, and I noticed that you get sidetracked quite a bit. So my wife is bringing me my vitamin C. So I tried to write it down now. So because when you're home, it's so easy to get sidetracked. So I have a little notepad. So everything down, so what I need to do, and beginning of the month is usually it's a pain in the ass, but it's just because I manage 24 properties, so it's just trying to get those rents and everything else in, those things, because right now it's very challenging. I know you probably guys heard there's the coronavirus is a whole bunch of stuff, so a lot of tenants are calling and trying to figure out, see how much less they can pay. So negotiating with the owners and stuff like that. So I think it's going to be like this for a few more months, unfortunately. But it just, the first 5-6 days is going to be like this month, and then the rest of the things. And I noticed another thing. I used to have a lot of crew that does my drywall cleaning and this. It's really, really hard to get a hold of those people right now and have them do something. So, and I have to think about their safety, my safety, and the people's safety. So I know it's a challenging time right now, especially for listings to be shown. And we do a lot of, and I know I told you guys about the Film 360 that has product that's just pretty good. Even to get the stuff done for the pictures, and I have to get the staging. That staging lady that is supposed to be doing the staging is no longer in the business, so I need to find somebody else. So get bids and have them go in. It's just challenge right now. It used to be there's 5 or 6 companies jumping on your call. Now it's just like you got to beg them. Say, hey, can you please go look? So it's one of those things. But it's just part of the thing. We went through the same thing in 2008. I don't know if people in the business at the same time at that years. It's challenging. So, you go through certain cycles. This is a very, very unexpected cycle. So if you would have told me 4 months ago, it says, hey, yeah, we're going to have, I was going to say, recession is not going to be there. The changing is not going to be there. There's no such a thing as the future in the forecast. So we're good to go until 2024. All of a sudden, everything is up in the air. Like, we don't even know when this is going to end. Is it going to be end of June or end of the year? Or it's changed quite a bit of thinking right now. It's just not the same. I mean, I had to give you an example. I love playing poker, and we were talking about it. I went to a friend of mine. We were like sitting like 10 feet apart, and it's like, we're never gonna go to the casinos anymore. Seriously, it's a petri dish.
Yeah.
Scary. And people are gonna go, and somebody's gonna cough, and in area, you're just going to take 2 steps back by reflex. It's just, everything is going to change for the next few years. So get ready for it. And real estate is a part of that thing, because we're so interactive with the people. I mean, it just, the phone is okay, making phone calls, call your circle, call your everything, keep in touch with them, because eventually that's the people are going to give you more business, that create more business. But to get more client, you need to talk with them face to face. And that aspect of it is going to be, who's going to be able to say, hey, let's get together and have a cup of coffee together. That's not really going to happen as much. The coffee shops are closed.
Mm-hmm.
The restaurants are closed. You can't take anybody out to lunch anymore. So there's a lot of change is going to come in our business. So get ready for it.
Yeah. And I love that. I feel like everything that we talk about, I'm going to be able to circle back to that quote that we had at the beginning: accept total responsibility for every aspect of your life and refuse to blame anyone else. Like we're all experiencing the same thing. And this is the time to accept responsibility, because we control, what we want to change and what we want to create. If we take responsibility for those things, we've got the power to make things change and create the success and the life that we want. It's going to be really easy to kind of take a step back and fall into a rut. If that's the case, and I'm leaning heavily on Dan, I go through the same thing, guys. Let one of us know. Have an accountability partner, an accountability buddy. Call us if we can help. We genuinely are all in this together. I promise you guys that. So please don't hesitate to reach out. Or you said something, and thank you so much, man. Something that I think is really important: having your schedule in front of you, being able to reference that and look at that on a very regular basis. That actually is something that I want to talk about as the next topic.
Mm-hmm.
I want to talk about goal setting. With everything going on, it's really easy to lose track of our goals at the beginning of the year. And I want to be honest with you guys. If you set goals towards the end of last year for 2020, I commend you. Time to revisit them. The goals that you had at the beginning of this year, I'm not going to say that they need to be different. They need to be a dramatic departure. But if you're going to stick to those goals, your approach to that has to change. If you knew that you had to make 50 phone calls a day, double it. It's really time to start sitting down and rehashing those goals. So I want to talk a little bit about that. And then once we're able to rehash them, put them in front of you. Put them in a conspicuous place, and you can be reminded of them every day. And it can be something small. My goal, I need to do some kind of physical activity every day. That to me is big. My physical health plays into my mental health, plays into my professional success. That's all intertwined. Thomas, I don't know if you can hear us or if you're able to chat, but I'd love to hear from you, bud. You're an active dude. You've got big goals. You've seen a ton of success. Do you mind taking a second to talk about some of the goals that you've got and how you're maybe revisiting some of those or reevaluating them? No, maybe not. The man of few words.
Yeah,
Great point.
absolutely. So I'm just like you, Ray, in the sense and life is not just one-dimensional.
I think we're losing you, bud.
A lot of people, if you don't reevaluate looking at your business, your financial. Can you hear me? Hello?
Yeah, you're
Hello?
better.
Can you hear me?
Go, talk.
Testing. Can you hear me?
1, 2, check.
Not just looking at your person, it's looking at your entire life and how that looks. And Ray mentioned, and other people were talking about earlier in their routines, start that day off with a physical activity. Start that day off with making sure that you get your mind right outside of business. Because right now, the biggest obstacle we're all facing as people is establishing new routines from the ground up. And if you don't focus on how you're going to keep your sanity day in and day out with the new norms that we have, then you're not going to really go too far. Me, it's a little different right now. I just had that surgery. So my number one focus is recovering and getting healthy again. But in doing so, it allows me to revisit how I'm going to structure my business as well. So just like Ray said, I'm looking at my goals, what I wanted to do. When you initially did your GPS planning earlier in the year, you're going to have to revisit that. You're going to have to amp it up. And the response that I've gotten so far is people love talking to you right now. Like I've never been in a happier place, like being received when I'm calling somebody, because like, oh my God, thank goodness my kids won't shut the hell up. No offense on with kids. I needed this escape. It's amazing. So it's for my routine, it's more than ever trying to dial it in so I don't get pulled into all the negativity that's out there, because it's so easy to do so nowadays. And it's just, can't be the victim in any of this. We have to come out. We got to continue being strong and just dominate each day the best that we can. Sorry, that was a ramble.
No, I love that, man. I appreciate that. And that hits on a lot of stuff that we're really trying to drive home. Keiko, you seem like, I mean, structure is your thing. You've got a fantastic routine. When it comes to goals, have you done reevaluating? Are you restructuring things?
Not really. I'm just going as day goes, but the Thomas just said, stay positive I think it's a key. I have a client, out-of-state client, very, very negative. He's always thinking like worst case scenario. But I had a good talk with him a couple of days ago. Let's stay positive. You never know until, he's like, well, I don't want to list right now. Never sell, never buyer. I said, no, let's stay positive. You never know until you put your property on market. You never know. Let's stay positive. And I got the listing. So
congratulations.
Stay positive and, encourage clients, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah. We talked earlier in the week about, maybe it was end of last week, about, when we're interacting with clients, now's an easy time to get caught up in the chaos. We have to be the calm. We've got to be that balancing force, because if we start to lose it, that gives everybody else permission to lose their mind. Mm-hmm. Just similar to that, Keiko, I think we have to be the positive. We've got to be the ones that are not painting the doom and gloom picture. Be realistic, don't steer our clients wrong. And yet, if we give in to, and it's easy to be negative, it's really easy to buy into that right now. Mm-hmm. And if we stay positive and we state facts and we kind of just tell an accurate story, that's going to convey well, I think, to the people that we're doing business with. Hey, it's difficult to get in touch with vendors, like Orr said, and yet we've still got people out there that are working, business owners that are busting their tails to stay afloat. Don't let those things and not going to let those things get in the way of us taking care of our clients and transacting business.
Right.
Okay. How are we staying accountable? Me and Robin have a system that we're starting to dial in. Do you guys have any, whether it's family, whether it's, having something in front of you, whether it's an accountability buddy, how are we staying accountable?
Ryan Kane.
Ryan Kane, that is a hell of an accountability buddy. Rachel, you too?
Yeah, Mondays and Tuesdays he cracks the whips. It's Thursday, so I'm feeling kind of woo!
You ready for Monday?
Does Rachel get extra credit for switching her hat 3 times now?
I've seen it, yeah. Robin's keeping score back.
I missed 2 calls and I felt bad. Brian took up Tuesday's call, so.
It's all right. We do them every day. We want to make sure that we're providing value. And honestly, to me, guys, these calls are a way to stay accountable. I know that every day I'm on Zoom at 12 o'clock and I know I've got another call at 1 o'clock. So for me, if I don't get my shit done before 12 o'clock that I've got to get done, my whole day is backed up and I'm back. Mm-hmm. So thank you guys. And you don't even know it, to be honest with you, but you are a huge part of my daily accountability. I'm very grateful.
Oh, hugs.
Great. I want to start to talk a little bit about, because we're going to end the call with some training stuff. What kind of training are we leaning into? Are we still taking advantage of the KW Connect? And we're getting this question, I feel like, every day. All of the KW Connect classes are recorded. Okay? Every one of them. If you don't have a link to that, we can absolutely get it to you. We'll post it in the Facebook again. If you're not a part of some Facebook groups like Command Your Conversion, KW Command, Lab Code Agents, I strongly recommend getting involved in those. I'll be honest with you, Command Your Conversion is my favorite. It's positive, it's more uplifting, it's very content based. Some of the other ones really easy to get caught up in the negative, chatter. And there's a tremendous amount of value in each of those pages. So when it comes to training, what are we relying on? What are we looking at? Or?
Good question. Right now, most of the things that I'm doing, it's just not on the training, but get in touch with the clients and just like, our the big hat guy says. You know, so when you call them, it seems like people love it.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. I had a conversation with one of my clients. They're out of state, and I'm not exaggerating, but he talked to me for 45 minutes. And I used to call him, and he's always was busy. Always. Like, I'll call you back later. I'll call you back now. We talk 45 minutes. So it's really weird. And sometimes you want to say, just shut the hell up. I have more calls to do. It was like, leave me alone. But 45 minutes, he was so freaking bored. And I don't mind it because he owns like 5 properties. I'd love to get more stuff from him. But it's just like one of those things, and people love it. So it's a good opportunity for investor calls, I think. Maybe not as a single family homeowners, thinking about, but investors, oh my God, they love it. It's just unbelievable.
Mm-hmm. It's kind of crazy that, I think we were all scrambling to figure out how to pivot and how to continue to do productive activities. Simple phone calls and just banter have turned into productive activities, building those relationships, reinforcing those relationships with our database. And it's a good way to
with postcards, letters, and all that stuff, but not phone calls. So a lot of people move their advertising on like a postcards, like a newsletters and stuff like that, but people are not picking up the phone and said, hey, how the hell are you? Are you safe? Are you healthy? What are you doing? Just, do you need anything? Hey, where did you find the last toilet papers? It's like, you know what I mean? It's just a dumb question, like, damn, I don't have a hand sanitizer. You guys where did you get it? It's like stuff like that. It just, you get so personal, up and close, instead of like sending a postcards like, oh, here's my new listing.
Yeah.
It just
and piggybacking on that, over the last few weeks, listen to Brian talk, and in the shift, if you go through that book, traditionally over the last 7 years in this market, we've been able to be marketing-based, prospecting enhanced.
Yeah.
When you're looking at your goals and you're looking at your business, that's going to be a huge thing you have to change. We're going to have to be spending less on traditional marketing that we've seen, like the postcards and the online ad spend, and spend more time actually picking up and getting a relationship with these people. And like Orr mentioned, he had a client who he had trouble tracking down in the past. All of a sudden you have a 45-minute conversation, and that one conversation can change that relationship for the rest of your business life with that person. So embrace those. Don't try to get off the phone quickly like you're trying to hit a bold 100. Sink into the conversation, extend it as long as possible, and build lifelong relationships from this.
Thomas, yeah, that's killer, man. And or it seems like you'd agree, man. Those conversations are the ones that might not pay off in the next 30 days, but they're the ones that'll pay off 6 months, 12 months from now. When that person does get into the market, if you're able to continue to reinforce that relationship, they're not going anywhere else. There was a post from a friend of mine from Louisiana who called somebody and said, hey, I just want to ask if you need anything. And she knew it was a real estate call. She's like, yeah, I need to know where to find toilet paper. So the dude called around and ended up finding a supermarket near her, calls her back, says, hey, they're holding a 4-pack or an 8-pack or whatever of toilet paper for you. All you got to do is just go pay for it and pick it up. And she's like, holy shit.
Insider information for all of you guys. Go to market Friday after 8 o'clock. They start packing the shelves at 7.
Okay. So if anybody is short on supplies after 8 o'clock, go to the store. That's not a takeaway that I was expecting from this mastermind, but that's valuable. That might be the most valuable bit of information we're going to provide.
Hand sanitizer. I find those Clorox wipes and stuff. I find all of them.
I love it.
That's unbelievable.
It's the information to share with your database. Kayoko, I want to, if you're okay talking a little bit more in detail about it, when we talk about training and making these calls, you said that you're still doing script practice every morning. What scripts are you using to get in front of people?
We use Bold and Ignite, and I used to take Mike Ferry. So I use Mike Ferry, Tom Ferry. We switch every now and then.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Mark, what about you, bud? What kind of training are you leaning into, or how are you finding, getting in front of people effectively?
Well, like we were talking, just the humanity calls, just making sure everybody's okay and just checking in with people, like Orr said, you talk to people that you haven't talked to in a long time. And I think that's really going to hold value when you actually reached out to somebody that you haven't talked to in a while. In a time like this, I think that creates a better relationship and a better bond than, calling up and saying, hey, I've noticed you lived in your house for 8 years. Are you thinking about selling? Well, shit, you haven't talked to me in 6 years. Why are you calling now? So, it's just, like Clinton had said too, I don't say anything about real estate. I ask them how their business is, and then it just naturally leads into my business. And then they start asking questions about the market. And I'm very hesitant to speculate and let them know. I just give them what the facts are today and the month over month. And I tell them, look, we'll have a better idea in April when the March numbers come out, and then we'll have a better idea in May when the April numbers come out, so on and so forth. So, and Orr mentioned it too, it's kind of walking into the world of the unknown right now. So you can't really give an honest answer. You can only tell them what's going on in the market today. As far as training goes, my license, I have to renew my license in September, so it's a good time to sit and do all that BS work for the DRE. I would rather just send in triple my payment and just tell them forget about it. Because when do we ever have to split parcels or talk to people about riparian rights? It's like all the shit that you never even have to use. It's like going through the whole principles manual again, But yeah, I'm just working on that. And then command training, I'm watching some more videos, and I'm, working with you on some of the Facebook lead gen ads, keeping it simple. I'm also going to start working on a lot more video content. I have a vacant listing. I lost both my listings yesterday, by the way. They both pulled them, but they're withdrawn, which is still good. But I kind of made the recommendation as well, just because there's not really much we can do. And also taking advantage of the new rule that you don't have to withdraw your listing for 30 days. So if they decide they want to put it back on the market for 2 weeks, then we can do that. But with May being our kind of peak, if you look over the last 3 years, the most listings that come out on the market, I just kind of recommended for them to hold back too. So just like I said, it's a potpourri kind of day. I don't really have like a 8 to 9 a.m. schedule, which kind of sucks, because before I was like in the gym at 5 a.m. and that's when I knew my day started. Mm-hmm. So now, like everybody's saying, I'm staying up later. I'm watching frickin' Tiger King. I'm watching BS shows that I never even wanted to watch, but it's like, it's I got family, like I'm cooking every night, and it's the whole entire, everything has changed. So I hope I can get in a routine. I hope I could just take smaller blocks and not try to figure out my day, and just like you say, 8 to 9 is this, 10 to whatever, and just start small and then rebuild, because there's not much you can do. I mean, I can't change it overnight. There's no way.
And think about, when we set goals, we've got an idea at the end of the year what our goals are. And it seems just kind of so far away and so distant and so untangible until we start to break it down. Like, okay, my 12-month goal is this. Then we break it down to monthly. Well, this is what I've got to do monthly to get there. And then we break it down weekly. This is what I've got to do weekly to get there. And then we break it down even more daily. Your calendar should reflect the same, should kind of be built the same way. Like, obviously I've got goals, but let's start with just one piece of it that I'm going to work towards to get there, and then build it out from there. Mm-hmm. And then just continue to try to stick to it. Start with one thing in the morning, start with how you want to start every day, and then build from there. But start it out on a positive. Thomas, I'm right there with you. If it's not a physical kind of activity, I'm not where I need to be. I have to, I've got to have that kind of mental check.
Yeah, our team homework this week to prepare for next Tuesday's sales call is our whole team has to do new 135s, because everything has changed and we need to find normalcy to the new normal. So that's what we're doing. Yeah.
If you, I'll put it out there for everybody, guys. If you want help rebuilding a 135, staying accountable, shoot me an email. We'll keep it confidential. We'll build it out together. The goal is to make sure that you guys have what you need to set up this new real estate world that we're living in. And Mark, before we go into something else, I love what you said that Clinton brought about, because this has been my approach, when I'm making these calls. I try to psychologically, make my calls not salesy. I'm not a salesperson in that sense. And yet if you ask somebody, hey, how's work going? 90% of the time their go-to response is, great, how's yours? Bam, now we can talk. If you've got a client where you're on these wellness checks, like, oh yeah, how's the family? Fantastic. You guys staying busy? How's work? It most of the time will inevitably lead to that. And I love what you said about, I don't want to try to predict what the future is going to look like, because honestly, nobody knows. At this point, it's all guess. Mm-hmm. And yet, what's the best email? I can send you bi-weekly market stats that are going to now help us look at what the market is in its current status.
Right. And just to piggyback what Orr said is, rewinding back to 2008, there was that 2008 just didn't happen overnight. This did. This happened overnight, literally. Like the world shut down. So mm-hmm. I don't think we've ever faced anything like this. So we are definitely walking into the world of the unknown. So I don't think anybody has a true, honest answer. I mean, it's based on, facts. I mean, you can't really speculate, but it's tough, because a lot of my friends are in the restaurant industry. Like, I spent 22 years as a bartender. So when I talk to those people, like, they're hurting. And the unfortunate thing with that is, since this happened so quickly and so abruptly, it's not going to end abruptly and quickly. Like, we're not going to just go flood the bars. There's not going to be lines outside of restaurants and bars. Like, we're going to have to slowly graduate into this, maximum of 10 people. They might lift it to maybe 20, but you're going to be 6 feet away from somebody at a restaurant, or let a few people in at a time. Like, it's going to be really difficult.
Yeah.
So those people in that industry, it's going to take a lot longer for them to recover over a period of time. Because, I mean, let's face it, really the only thing that's going to work is a vaccine, and we're 18 months out from that. Yeah. The cure is only going to help people that are sick. So this is our new norm for I would say logically, the next 18 months. We're going to have to figure this out, in a different approach.
Yeah. One thing that I'll share with you guys, and I hope that this is somewhat of a silver lining. I talk to agents outside of our company every day. I'm very proud of how we're preparing. I'm very proud of us having a realistic look at what the next 18 months looks like, as you said, Mark. Because a lot of people are referencing, as Orr said, this to 2008, and to a degree, yeah, there are similarities, and yet it's very different. To think that we're going to get back to business as normal come August, I think is probably a pipe dream. I don't see it getting back to where it was. We rode a really nice 7 years, as Thomas Jacobs said, of a seller's market where business was fantastic. We could predictably anticipate, what our goals were going to be and how to track them. This is very unknown. And the more that I talk to people in our industry, the more I realize that I would say a vast majority of agents are not prepared still. We're 2.5 weeks in. It's been 3 weeks, I think, since the shelter in place now. 2 full weeks since the shelter in place. And most agents are still thinking it's going to be business as usual by the end of this month. And I pray that they're right. I really do. I think that that's just a borderline naive. Without being disrespectful, I don't see that happening. All indicators are saying that's not going to happen. Mm-mm. The economy rebounding and the numbers and the forecasts are all saying that's not going to happen. And so the big takeaway for me is that when we do this and we have these calls, it allows us to prepare. We've been prepping for this. We've got the communication and the collaborative effort to realistically say, we don't know what it looks like, and yet let's focus on the things that we control. Let's take responsibility for our actions, and let's go ahead and despite everything going on, create the future that we want, change the things that we need to change. Circling back to that quote at the beginning, we're responsible for what we make of this. And I love how we're responding to it. I love that our agents in our office are coming together, sharing stuff with each other. It's awesome. It's kick-ass, guys. I feel really bad for a lot of the other agents that don't have that. So, if you've got agents that want to tap into this, it's not a recruiting ploy right now. It's really not. As you said, Mark, I've got a lot of people that are affected by this. We all have a servant heart. We wouldn't be in this industry if we didn't want to help people. If there's somebody that can sit in on one of these meetings and take something away, like just building a calendar, dude, like if that helps you go ahead and set yourself up for the next 6 months, awesome. That's really all we want. So if you know anybody that could use some help, reach out, let them know. If anybody wants to jump in on these calls, they're open. But I'm really proud of our agents in our office for how we're at least planning to tackle this stuff.
Yeah, and I still think there's going to be a lot of success stories out of this. I mean, look at the whole foreclosure market and short sale market and how people kind of engineered a different approach to a market. You know, I think this one's going to take a little bit longer, but I see like Kyle Whistle doing like masterminds, and he started like this group and he's got like over 8,000 people already following. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that's out there. There's a lot of propaganda that's out there too. Like I'm sure everybody's getting these phone calls for virtual this and virtual that. Personally, I would not spend, you know, $600,000 on a house if I couldn't physically walk through it. But I think it's a stepping stone into what they can expect to limit the amount of properties that we have to see. And quite frankly, kind of on a devilish note, it's going to be nice to wash out some of the agents out there that kind of take this haphazardly, you know, in their career and kind of, you know, ruin it for the people that are actually busting their ass on a daily basis as a career and as a passion. So I think we're going to see a lot of shift in numbers in real estate, which is going to give us the upper hand when the market opens up, because, you know, there's a lot of renewals this year and people might not do it because it's going to cost money to redo everything. So there's good and bad with everything, but it's just, you know, we have to find our angle as individuals to how we're going to, you know, work our sphere and what kind of business we're going to do in the next 90 days.
I agree. I think that we're going to lose a lot of agents, a lot of you know, otherwise successful agents, because we were riding, as Thomas alluded to, 7 years where, let's be honest, it wasn't that difficult. Mm-hmm. It was, you know, we put in a lot of hard work for sure, and the people that were successful put in work, and there were others that were doing their 10 to 12 transactions a year, and it was just kind of coming to them, and it was easy, or they could buy those transactions.
Yeah.
Those days are numbered. I think it is going to thin out dramatically the amount of agents we've got, and it's time to lean into education, to lean into training, to hustle, to go work your tail off. It's not going to come as easy as it did the last 7 years. It's not. So, with that said, guys, let's transition so we can start wrapping up. I want to respect everybody's time and get everybody out by 1 o'clock. We're trying to put together an ADU class next week, hopefully next Thursday in lieu of the mastermind. That's something that we wanted to get on the schedule anyway, and now we've got a good colleague who's willing to do it virtually. So if you have questions about ADU regarding zoning, permits, cost, procedure, etc., we're trying to get that on the calendar next Thursday at 12 o'clock. Once that's finalized, we'll send that out to everybody. We've got Bold Pivot coming in May. That's May 5th, I believe. It's $99. I'm trying to find out if the first class is free like it always has been. If it is, I think everybody should jump in. There's no harm in doing it. If you hate it, don't do it. If you love it, fantastic. It's $90 for a wonderful Bold experience. I'll be the first one to tell you, if you look at my career, I've taken Bold 3 times. You know, I was doing well, finished Bold, and then 90 days after, shot up. And it happened 3 times. I wouldn't be where I am today if it wasn't for that program. I speak to the power and the impact that it can have on your business if you buy into it. And so I'm excited that they're offering that. I know that they are right now putting together the curriculum and the structure for it. So as soon as we get more information, we will send that out to you. And before we go, guys, I just want to know what you want to see in the coming weeks. Mark, I think you're 100% right. This is going to be our new normal for the foreseeable future. I don't want to get up in front of everybody on a daily basis and just mansplain and share my 2 cents. I want to see what training you'd like to see out there. What can we put in front of you that you think is going to be valuable?
I personally think right now, just moving into the virtual business, you know, we have to put properties out there on market, obviously, and people are going to want to market properties. So I think just covering you know, a virtual business, any aspect of that would be super beneficial because, you know, again, going back to these agents that this is, you know, they do 1 to 2 transactions a year. They can't facilitate this because they're not involved in the business like we are. So I think getting the technology, you know, doubling up on your technology is really going to push us all forward in the next 90 to, you know, 6 months, 180 days.
I know Brian just got a listing signed, I think it was on Monday, from doing a virtual listing presentation, which I know he's done electronic training before, but this was an actual Zoom meeting with him and the clients. So maybe that's one thing we can kind of incorporate with Brian to see if he had any like things he wished he did different. I mean, he got the listing, but it was I think it was his first one. Like on
I think
this.
we'd all probably, Mark, like to see what a virtual listing presentation looks like. Like essentially do a mock listing presentation virtually.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I don't know if he like shared his screen when he was on the Zoom call, but it was successful. So
That's what we were going to do on my call, except for my seller on that condo didn't want to log into Zoom, but ultimately he was going to do the same presentation that he brings to the listing appointment, share the screen, and walk through it as if they were sitting across the coffee table.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Thomas, what about you, bud? What would you like to see in the coming weeks that we can make sure we're getting in front of you guys? Take your time.
I agree. That's great.
Good input. Thomas, can you hear us all right, bud? Oh,
Can you all hear me? I don't know if this is working. I just got out of my car.
Yep, we got you.
The first things that I thought, if you could throw up the links to those command groups, and then I think that bold pivot is going to be massive. So if anyone hasn't done bold, this would be the best time to ever do it. And I think I heard Ray say it was $99. Is that accurate?
That's correct. Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's a home run. I encourage every single person in here to do that. And then stuff like this, I'd say the biggest thing that we could do for each other is make note of what's working and what successes we're having in this new norm, and then pass it forward and see if we can start chaining things together to help implement in all of our businesses. So the collaboration here, the community and all that, I appreciate it greatly. We're talking a lot about accountability. I think this helps everybody. And just keep showing up. That's the best thing any of us could do for anyone. Just keep showing up.
Appreciate that, brother. Thank you. Holden, what about you, bud? You walked into real estate at a hell of a time. What are some things that you want to see going forward?
I mean, biggest for me, I guess, would probably be just lead generation. Obviously, from what everyone said, the best thing to do is just talk to people. It's not really the time to be trying to push people to buy or sell. It's more about making like the long-term connections, especially when we don't know what's going to happen in the next 3 months or even 18 months. You know, who knows how long it's going to take to get a vaccination or a cure or anything. Could be longer, could be shorter. For me, obviously, my circle of influence is like, you know, a lot more younger people my age, probably not ready to buy, not ready to sell, don't have the money saved up. So for me, it would be kind of how to prospect and find leads and kind of cultivate them. And then obviously all the online stuff, that's kind of what I've been focusing on right now. But, you know, that's mostly what I can do. But yes, lead gen, prospecting. Yeah, growing the database.
I love it. Kyoko, what would you like to see in the next couple of weeks?
I would love to see Brian King's virtual listing. Yeah, presentation.
Yeah. Or what about you?
That's really sounds like a good idea. And also we might actually get something in there for, I think it's a time for concentrating on the investors. Because investors intend to either panic or not panic, or hang on to it or not hang on to it. So it's just an idea that might be I think profitable thing for dealing with the investors right now, because a lot of people is going to stay put. So the people are going to be, you know, thinking about selling their home as they're going to stay put. And as I've been in business for a little bit, so I think it's right now it's looking like the end of the year. The people is not really comfortable of doing anything right now because everybody's up in the air because everybody's concentrating on the TVs, like how many people died, how many people got infected, what's happening around the world. And due to that, it's going to be really hard to uh, talk with the people. Are you, the classic language of saying, are you thinking about buying or selling a home in the next 3 months? That's out of the picture right now. So we have to adapt the current situation. So instead of approaching it like that, like I said, hey, how you doing? How's everything? Are you safe? What's your plans, or what are you planning to do? Obviously they're not planning on going into travels, or definitely not cruise. So, it just, the language change is that we need to adapt. So that's what I'm saying. But I love to see that presentation. That would be really, really good to see.
I like that. Yeah. For me, I love working with investors. They're as a numbers guy, I love investors are calculated. There's no emotion. They're not the impulsive buyer that falls in love with a kitchen and has to have it. They want to know numbers, they want information, and they want it yesterday. And so for me, every time I'm working with an investor, if they've got a question, I got to get to them ASAP. I've got to get them just facts, numbers that support what they want to do. And so we've said this for the last couple of weeks, be a leader and be a source of information. People are literally itching for accurate info. Our job as a real estate professional, and Mark, I love what you said. We're not trying to predict what's happening in the next 6 months. We've all got our theories. We've all got our ideas. And yet we have access to real-time information now. And if we can provide that to people and convey that in a way that makes sense, I think people are gonna be drawn to that. So we'll put something together for sure. Or I love that idea, man. Ladies, Rachel and Christina, you guys have joined us on a ton of these. Anything that we can add to our calendar for y'all that you would benefit from or that you would like to see?
Maybe just if somebody has because we've been in systems for so many listings where it is very rare that something is just not in that box. So if you guys have come across any like system-wise things that have been helpful. So one thing that I kind of thought of was, because I'm starting to get those PEDs back on the buyers that have to sign those. Mm-hmm. So I was thinking like, okay, well maybe buyer's agents can just have their buyer sign one, and then that way they just have to fill out the address and send it in.
I was actually having that question because Eric on our team just asked that if his buyers need to sign one for each property or just one.
It's for each property. But you could just have them sign a blank one and then just fill that in. So if you guys come across, like, especially with these new documents, anything that is helpful or time efficient, or like, oh, if we tweak it this way, I don't know, we can just kind of brainstorm on those things. Because I don't really do sales, but I'm all about the systems.
Love that.
Do you have to put an address in that? I haven't used one yet, but do you have to put an address, or could you put like on the buyer broker agreement where you have a price range? Can you put like any and all properties?
It has to be property specific so that it protects the seller, but you can fill that in, like just have the buyer sign one, print out 20 of them. That way all you do is fill out the address on the top, because you don't even have to sign it as an agent. You just fill out your information too. So when you're requesting, what I put in the showing remarks is to email, I put the PED in the documents on the MLS, and then in the showing request, put to email it to me with your time of when you want to show it. So that's kind of the new showing request rather than texting or calling.
Yeah. So that document, so that everybody knows, that document has to be submitted, and that's mandatory for our office for every showing. All right, you do not have to be in contract or in escrow with anybody. This is anytime you want to go see a property now, the PEAD has to be submitted and signed by buyer and seller to acknowledge that you're going to access that property. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
Does the seller have to sign both? Oh, sorry, Mark.
No, I don't think
it's just
seller
one.
has a line.
It's just the buyer or the seller?
Yeah.
So we have the seller sign on every single one, and then the buyer has to submit. So we'll have like a folder where it's all the buyer's showings that signed, but the seller doesn't have to acknowledge the buyers in order to see it.
Yeah, because the sellers have their own Corona addendum, and then there's the other one that's just any unforeseen corona issues.
Yeah.
That's the general one, right?
Yeah.
CVA.
Yeah, I think so.
CAA with the listing, and then there's a NC.
NUCC.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
So many
you're putting
fucking
that.
acronyms.
So you guys are putting that in the attachments as the listing agent for the buyers to sign, so that you just have them sign this and then set the appointment.
Yeah, I put it in the MLS documents with each property.
That's a good idea.
All right, guys. Thank you again. I can't say how much I appreciate y'all showing up and taking part. Go get after it. Take responsibility for your actions. Keep crushing it. I'm super proud of what we're doing, and I look forward to seeing everybody tomorrow.
I got one more thing before you go. One of my old colleagues brought this up to me, but it's I don't know if anybody has seen the economic injury disaster loan that they're offering to small businesses. So if you're incorporated, I don't know if anybody is here. If anybody is, then it would make sense, but if not, but it's up to it's basically a $10,000 forgivable loan for your business. But there's other requirements. So if you go to sba.gov, you can look into it. But maybe if you're incorporated, you have employees or things like that, then you can fill that out.
I was looking at that actually just yesterday.
Yeah. My buddy said he did it, and his CPA said that he would qualify anywhere between 8,000 and 10,000.
We're going to try to get some more information on it. We briefly touched on it last week.
Yeah.
And as soon as we've got more clarity, I don't want to say anything wrong because, you know, that's a significant deal. But as soon as we've got more clarity on what the procedure is and what that looks like,
yeah,
we're going to relay it to everybody.
Well, if you go to sba.gov, you can read it all and see if you qualify for it, because all the streamlined process requirements are right on the first page in the eligibility verifications. You just check the box and it says yes, you can, or no, you can't.
I think I posted a link on Facebook. I'll add that, as well as Thomas requested, the links to the Facebook groups so that everybody has those resources readily available.
Just a quick reminder about May 14. We might have to start making plans something half decent.
Yeah, we're waiting on International to help us with Red Day plans. Is that what you're referring to? Yeah, that's something that we spent literally like 2 months trying to get off the ground and figure out what we wanted to do. And then I think Robin, we had like a deadline set for Thursday to get everything together. And that Thursday was March 20th. And so that kind of took a backseat. But yeah, it's something that we've discussed. We're waiting on direction from KWRI. Obviously very limited with what we can do socially, and yet that's not something that we're going to let go of. I'm sure that in some capacity we will do something that's ingrained in our culture, in our company. We wouldn't be who we are if we let this beat us and not go give back. So as soon as we've got more information, we will absolutely share that as well. All right, guys. Thank you all again. I look forward to seeing you guys real soon. Stay safe out there, okay?
Thank you.
Bye, y'all.
Bye, everybody.
See you.